the house always wins. That's right. This is the motto for survival that any visitor to Las Vegas should engrave in their heart. Why? Because in this city, just a blink of an eye, a free cocktail, or a roulette wheel that spins for too long is enough to turn your cleverness into a fatal mistake. Did you know that $55.1 billion is the amount Las Vegas extracts from tourists' pockets each year for every bit of fun, every experience, and even the traps you don't even realize, until you're completely broke? Vegas is designed to make you believe you're in control of the game. But the truth is that every street, every neon light, every casino is a giant machine, operated by sophisticated tricks to keep the odds in favor of the house. In today's video, I'll reveal the most common and costly mistakes tourists make in Las Vegas, along with tips to avoid these pitfalls so you don't become the city's next prey. Whether this is your first trip or your 100th time back in Vegas, there are bound to be tips you've never heard anyone mention. You might not have noticed, but even before leaving the airport, your trip could have already become an unnecessary expense. What was supposed to be a simple trip from the airport to the hotel in Las Vegas is now fraught with pitfalls that quickly empty your wallet. Up until now, the city has maintained a fixed price for taxi rides between the airport and hotels or resorts on the Strip, ranging from $19 to $27 depending on the location. This regulation is set to avoid the situation of round tripping to inflate prices. It sounds reasonable at first, but in reality, taking a taxi isn't always the best option. Many tourists believe that Uber or Lyft will help them save money. Indeed, on regular days, the prices of these ride-hailing services are often cheaper than taxis. But the disadvantage is that the fee is entirely dependent on supply and demand. During peak season, especially when the city hosts major events like the upcoming UFC tournaments, car prices can double or triple. A 15-minute trip can cost up to $60–70, enough for a middle-class family in Ohio to buy groceries for half a week. Choosing a taxi isn't necessarily an absolutely safe solution either. Despite stable prices, you may still have to pay additional fees such as airport charges, credit card swipe fees, and other taxes. In fact, during peak hours, it's not uncommon to wait 20–30 minutes just to catch a ride. So, as soon as you land at the airport, be sure to compare prices between Uber, Lyft, and taxis. If you choose a taxi, it's best to have cash ready to avoid unnecessary extra fees. Depending on when you arrive in Vegas, consider being flexible to avoid turning a short ride into a long bill. At the same time, it's important to remember a key principle. In Las Vegas, you absolutely cannot hail a taxi on the street. Taxis can only pick up and drop off passengers in designated areas, usually right in front of the hotel lobby. With Uber and Lyft, the process is even more complicated. Each hotel has its own pickup point. Caesars has multiple different areas. Bellagio is in the basement, and MGM is located in a multi-story parking garage. Please ask carefully or check the application beforehand to avoid wasting additional time and effort just because of confusion about the pickup point. Just by being a little vigilant, you can avoid unreasonable fees and turn your trip into a more comfortable experience instead of an expensive lesson. And this is just the opening act. Because when you enter a hotel, the hidden costs are much more complex and persistent, a trap that up to 95% of tourists have fallen into and are currently falling into. Don't rush to book a room just because you see a bargain price if you don't want to regret it later. Because in Las Vegas, the price you think is reasonable can sometimes double or even triple when you get the bill. Many tourists have booked rooms for $90, but at checkout, that number suddenly jumps to $220. Many people are outraged, calling it a scam, but in reality, it's all legal. The problem is that the listed price is just the tip of the iceberg, not including resort fees and additional taxes that almost all hotels in Vegas apply. In fact, up to 99% of hotels on the Strip automatically charge a resort fee. There are only a few rare exceptions, like Casino Royale, Four Queens, or TI, with an opt-out option, and occasionally Sahara releases this no-fee promotion. But for most tourists, that amount of money is almost unavoidable. The average resort fee falls between $40 and $55 per night, and more importantly, this fee is also subject to tax. That is, in addition to the room tax, you also have to pay extra tax on the resort fee itself. For example, if the listed room price is $100, excluding the resort fee, you will have to pay an additional 13.38% room tax, plus a $50 resort fee, and then an additional 13.38% tax on that resort fee. Layer upon layer of fees piled up, causing the number on the bill to balloon, far exceeding what you initially thought you would pay. Not only resort fees, but many hotels in Las Vegas also hold a deposit ranging from $25 to $200 per night, which is only refunded after you check out. For long-term stays, the amount of money held on the card can reach hundreds of dollars, putting significant pressure on the budget. As a result, the final bill is often 50–70% higher than what tourists initially thought. Many people go over budget, forcing them to cut back on other experiences or even shorten their vacations. Las Vegas is often promoted as the city of great deals, but in reality, these hidden costs make it inexplicably expensive. The solution doesn't not exist. If you book directly on the hotel website, you will usually see a small note at the bottom about the resort fee. And if you order through a combo package or an intermediary website, never skip the step of calling to confirm beforehand. You can also consider the rare hotels that don't charge a resort fee to save money. Additionally, be sure to ask what the resort fee includes. Some hotels include gym, spa, or even in-room refrigerator usage fees in this amount. If you don't need to use it, politely discuss it with the staff. No one can guarantee you'll be completely exempt, but at least there's a chance to reduce the amount you have to pay. These hidden costs, seemingly small but cumulative, have turned Vegas into an expensive city beyond reach. And ironically, sometimes you pay hundreds of dollars extra without receiving any real value in return. Is the resort fee just an add-on service, or has it essentially become a legalized form of hidden tax? What do you think? Share your views in the comments section below so we can discuss together. Next, as you enter the restaurant to order what seems like a simple breakfast, the cost shocks continue, this time stemming from excess and waste. Imagine a morning at the Bellagio, one of the most luxurious hotels on the Strip. The line of people stretched on, patiently waiting just to buy a familiar cup of Starbucks. You stood in line for nearly 40 minutes, finally holding a $9 cup of coffee in your hand. And then suddenly realized the taste was no different from the Starbucks back home, only twice as expensive. Starbucks in hotels on the Strip are always busy due to their familiarity. Tourists often choose this brand as a safe zone rather than risk trying another coffee shop. However, within those very hotels, there are many lesser-known options. A central bar or a sportsbook in the lobby, where you can get coffee served faster and even cheaper. There, a cup of cappuccino costs only about $4.95, compared to $8.99 at Starbucks in the resort area. Not only that, but these small kiosks often have their own unique style, creating an experience more closely associated with Vegas than the global chain feel inherent in Starbucks. Not just coffee, eating in Las Vegas also becomes a major challenge. The portions here are famously huge, truly reflecting the American spirit of bigger is better. A portion of chicken rice at Cosmopolitan costs around $5, but the amount of food is enough for 2 people to share. However, many tourists still maintain the habit of ordering individual portions, only to end up leaving behind large amounts of untouched food. What's the result? Not only do tourists spend more money than necessary, but they also end up in a wasteful situation. Overflowing trays of food left uneaten, half-drunk cups of coffee hastily abandoned to make it to the show on time. All of this stood in stark contrast to what people expect from a value-for-money vacation. What's worse is the feeling of emptiness. Paying a lot but not truly enjoying it. Spending but finding no value. A simple solution that few people implement: sharing portions. Many restaurants in Vegas allow you to order a portion and split it in half, or suggest smaller portions when customers ask proactively. For coffee, instead of rushing into the Starbucks queue, you can explore the small kiosks in the hotel, or even go off the strip, where there are local coffee shops that are just as good but cheaper. It's also a way to connect with the city more authentically, rather than getting lost in familiar routines. If even a simple cup of coffee or breakfast can become a money trap, what will happen when you're sitting in front of flashing slot machines where a single click can blow away hundreds of dollars in an instant? In a city as brightly lit as Las Vegas, where every corner is designed to keep you captivated, sometimes just a small action is enough to turn joy into shock. Imagine you sit down at a glittering slot machine right in the hallway of the Bellagio Hotel. It's not a luxurious, high-limit room, just a public area accessible to everyone. You press the button, the wheel spins, the lights flash, and in an instant, 00 disappears. This reality is not uncommon. A visitor once shared their experience, saying they thought they were betting $8 per spin. But just a few seconds later, they discovered the real number was $80 per ride, because the machine had defaulted the denominator to $0.10 instead of 0. That's the subtle difference between bet level and denomination, something that can confuse even experienced players. For those new to the casino world, this mistake means their entire playing budget could disappear in less than a minute. The problem lies in the design of the slot machine interface. Every element is designed to encourage you to click quickly, spin frequently, and pay less attention to small details like the denomination level or the total amount per spin. Amidst the electronic music and flashing lights, it's hard to stay alert enough to stop and check. This is the psychological power that casinos rely on, making you believe you're in control of the game, when in reality, the game is controlling you. The consequences are clear. Instead of a few hours of light entertainment, you could lose your entire bankroll in an instant. The screen coldly displayed the words "insufficient credits," while red lights flashed around, turning a fun experience into instant disappointment. So, what's the solution? You should always start with the smallest machines, the 1-cent ones, to get used to them first. Take the time to carefully read the denomination displayed on the machine, instead of excitedly rushing to press the button. And most importantly, set boundaries for yourself. Some studies indicate that over 70% of slot players in Vegas never check the denomination before hitting spin. That number shows that most people enter the game in a state of ignorance, and that ignorance is the casino's greatest advantage. The most obvious symbol of this trap is the moment the words "insufficient credits" appear. It not only signals that your account is empty, but also reminds you that joy has turned into loss, faster than you could realize. Is this still entertainment, or is it essentially a sophisticated machine designed to empty your wallet? And remember, risk isn't just confined to the casino floor. Even in your own hotel room, other sophisticated traps are still waiting. There are losses in Las Vegas that don't come from big decisions, but from small, seemingly harmless details. Imagine, you didn't eat or drink anything from the minibar. You just accidentally touched a can of soda to put your personal water bottle in. But when I looked at the bill, the $20 was gone. A light touch in return for a heavy fee. This is a familiar reality at many hotels on the Strip. The mini fridge and the shelf above no longer operate on a pay-as-you-go basis as they did before. Instead, they are equipped with weight sensors. Just by moving an item for a few seconds, the system will automatically register that you have used it. No one explained this clearly when you checked in. Then, at checkout, many tourists are stunned to see the cold words "minibar charge, $25 appear on their bill, even though they insist they didn't use it at all. If charged incorrectly, guests are required to go down to the front desk to dispute the charges and request a cancellation. But not everyone is patient enough, especially in crowded checkout lines. Automation systems, originally designed for convenience, have now become sophisticated money-making machines. And sometimes tourists have to pay an extra $20, $50 just for a small habit, putting their personal water bottle in the refrigerator. This hidden cost is not all there is to it. Hotels in Vegas also hold a deposit each night, ranging from $25 to $200. For long stays, the amount held on the card can reach hundreds of dollars, only to be refunded after checkout. For travelers who don't have a card with available credit, the held funds can even lead to an overdraft, turning a seemingly relaxing vacation into a financial burden. As a result, these costs don't come from extravagant spending, but from carelessness itself. Visitors leave Vegas feeling ripped off by unnecessary expenses rather than by grand experiences. The only solution? Don't touch the minibar. If you need to keep personal items cold, bring a small cooler bag or ask the hotel to provide a separate refrigerator, if available. And always have a card with a sufficient credit limit to avoid overdrawing if deposits are held for several days. The clearest symbol of this fee is the checkout bill. The words "minibar charge $25" appear coldly, like a cut into the guest's trust. Has Las Vegas turned even the smallest amenities into a profitable trap? And then, as soon as you step out of the hotel, another illusion, seemingly close yet distant, awaits you on the endless strip streets. Las Vegas has long been hailed as the stage of light in the desert, where everything is exaggerated. Colossal hotels, towering neon signs, and seemingly endless boulevards. But it is precisely this exaggeration that creates a paradox. What seems close at hand is actually thousands of steps away. The Strip is only about 6.8 kilometers long, yet the blocks here are unlike any other city. Each hotel block and complex can be many times wider than a typical city block, making it sometimes take up to 30 to 45 minutes to cross from one building to another. That design isn't random. It reflects Las Vegas's operating philosophy. Keep you there as long as possible, guiding you through a series of casinos, restaurants, and shops before you reach your destination. This has clear consequences. Those who are unprepared, especially the elderly, are easily exhausted. The scorching desert sun, combined with the long distances, cause many tourists to abandon their journey, choosing to rest by the roadside instead of continuing to explore. The familiar symbol is the image of a tourist slumped by the roadside, with a bright neon sign in the background, a contrasting scene between the glitz and the weary reality. The underlying causes are not just climate or distance, but also the city's design. The shortest routes are often hidden, replaced by winding paths through the hotel's interior, forcing you to pass hundreds of slot machines, bars, or retail counters. The city becomes a giant maze where every step is calculated to keep you there longer. The solution, of course, still exists. Wise tourists choose to go through the hotel to take advantage of the air conditioning and escalators, turning a long journey into a less tiring experience. Others opt for free tram routes like Bellagio, Park MGM, or Excalibur, Mandalay Bay, to ease the strain on their legs. These small choices are enough to make a day wandering under the scorching sun a much more pleasant experience. Is Las Vegas truly still tourist-friendly, or has it become an artificial maze where only those who know the rules of the game can fully enjoy themselves? And in the end, when you leave this city, what remains? The dazzling glamour, or the memory of a long, arduous journey where every step tested your endurance? Las Vegas promises light, music, and endless nights of fun. However, many people who leave this city carry empty wallets and heavy hearts. What begins with enthusiasm often ends with a sense of disappointment, as if everything was arranged for you to leave with more losses than memories. Looking back, the scattered expenses throughout the trip suddenly become clear. Taxis with inflated prices during peak hours, resort fees and deposits that increase the room bill by half, huge meals with excessive portions, slot machines that devoured bankrolls in an instant, minibars that automatically charge just for a touch, and tiring walks in the scorching sun that stretched for miles. All told, Las Vegas is no longer an affordable entertainment destination, but has become a city designed to maximize guest spending. The reason lies in Vegas's operating philosophy, not convenience, but ambiguity. The city thrives on the non-obvious details, the small traps hidden within everyday experiences. Even the conclusion in many travel guides has to admit, don't feel bad if you make a few mistakes because they're not obvious. This saying reveals the truth. Las Vegas thrives on that ambiguity, and it knows that most visitors will inadvertently make mistakes. The result is that many people left not with a smile, but with the feeling they had just been deceived. An elderly tourist frankly admitted, "I paid for things I didn't even know I was using." It's not just about money, but also about lost trust. Trust in the so-called value for money, which was once a core part of the American dream. The most striking image is of passengers at McCarran Airport, pulling heavy suitcases and looking back at the strip receding through the window. The neon lights still shimmer, but for many, they are no longer a symbol of excitement, but a bitter reminder of what has been lost. Perhaps Las Vegas doesn't just take money, it also steals the belief that ordinary people can still find a little value for money, something worthwhile for what they spend. And the final lingering question, in this city of exaggerated dreams, is there any real place left for the ordinary person? If you've experienced something similar, please share your experience in the comments section. Because it's those very stories that reveal the true character of Vegas. Not from the bright lights, but from what remains after you've left. Las Vegas still shines like a gem in the desert, but that light sometimes only serves to hide the subtle traps laid everywhere. From hidden fees in hotels and exhausting steps on the strip, to the ding-ding of slot machines that swallow hundreds of dollars in an instant, every experience seems designed to take more than it gives. Is the city of dreams still a place where people can find joy? Or has it become a maze of illusions where ordinary people only serve as a source of profit? If you've experienced something similar, please leave your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to explore the hidden corners behind the glamorous lights of America. The content in this video is not intended to attack or defame any organization, business, or individual. All information is compiled from public sources, press, travel materials, and the actual experiences of visitors. The details presented only reflect social phenomena and perspectives, and are not absolute affirmations or a substitute for each individual's independent exploration. Las Vegas, like any major tourist city, has its bright spots and hidden corners. Mentioning fees, services, or experiences is solely for illustrative purposes and does not imply that the entire system operates in that manner. Viewers are encouraged to verify information, consult various sources, and most importantly, make their own decisions based on their personal circumstances. This is a reflective, exploratory story that prompts contemplation about the travel experience within a broader social context. Not financial or legal advice, nor mandatory instructions.